This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi.
Against the Flow of Mississippi was written by Anthony Oksenholt and was published by Oksenholt Biloxi Publishing, LLC. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice. Don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence.
They've had their say. Seems like they've had that kind of say around here for too long. Look, I had to stand up for myself alone. I went in there to remind them that somewhere in this world there's still a little law and order left. To let them know in the only kind of terms that their kind understand is that they can't bribe or threaten their way out of what they did. To let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Access 228, your host, Anthony Oksenholt, where we report the facts and we are not for sale. If you have a news story or something that's on your mind, please feel free to give us a call at 228-337-2099. Be glad to have you on. Thank you for listening, and we do appreciate all that you do to support us and keep free and independent journalism doing what we do best. All right, y'all. This might be a long video. I'm going to go through this and try to make some kind of sense of it, but I doubt it's going to work. So we have a federal lawsuit. We have Yuri and Jared versus a very long list of defendants in their civil case. Kenny Glavin, Fofo Gillets, Jerry Creel, Chris Deeback, Tara Ramage, Molly Schroeder, Jonathan Johnson, April Reddy, Scott Lusk, Robert Horinsky, Michael Whitehead, Catherine McMahon, Stacey Thacker, Anthony Chastain, Carrie Cavanaugh, Samuel Polos, Joanne Polos, each in their individual capacity, the city of Biloxi, Mississippi, and Harrison County, Mississippi. This is what I mean when I did my last video about sovereign citizens and paper terrorism, because that's what this is paper terrorism. I'm sure my name will be on that list, and you know what? Hurry up and serve me. First amended complaint and jury demand. I'm going to try to make sense of this, but I'm sure a lot of this is written with AI because, you know, somebody can't do their own fucking writing. I don't know. Do you know how to write? But anyway, preliminary statement. This case is about freedom of the press, the prohibition on prior restraint, and the limits of municipal power when that power has been captured by the officials of the press. Scrutinizes. What the fuck? When the power has been captured by the officials, the press scrutinizes. Okay. Plaintiffs come for themselves and for every Biloxi citizen who has watched what was done to them and wonders whether the same can be done to anyone who publishes, speaks, or asks questions of those in power. Let me interject. I've asked a lot of questions in power, and I've never been arrested for it. So, call me as a witness. I've run a podcast for over a decade. Sorry if y'all hear my radio in the background. I don't feel like going up to the front of the truck and turning it off. But I have run a podcast for over a decade. I've had Kenny Glavin tell me, man, I know you're critical, so you know what's up. Yeah, I do. This is not a class action. It is two credentialed credentialed by who? Oh God, if you're gonna cite a First Amendment claim, at least know what the fuck you're talking about. There is no such thing as credentialed journalists in the First Amendment. I'm not credentialed, but I'm a fucking journalist. Targeted by a municipal campaign to silence them, first through civil process, then through a Biloxi Police Department intelligence bulletin sourced to opposing counsel, then through a criminal affidavit sworn by a public official who is herself a named federal civil rights defendant under a protective order barring her contact with the plaintiff, then through a warrant signed by a judge with no jurisdiction over the court that issued it, and then through open coordination of a sitting city council president from the dais. Defendant asked the courts to bless what the First Amendment forbade through civil process by relabeling the vehicle as criminal. Sanctioning the arrest of the plaintiffs who voluntarily surrendered within an hour of a phone call, were never shown a charging document, were handcuffed 4 times, held 9 hours, x-rayed, body cavity searched, denied medication and counsel, a bond twice the statutory maximum fine, and charging documents produced only days after release, which plaintiffs have reason to believe were sanitized, supplemented, and modified to conceal the absence of jurisdiction. The sum is prior restraint, retaliation against the press, capture of the prosecutorial and judicial apparatus, and municipal overreach by any boundary American constitutional law has tolerated. The cause is not probable. It is suppressive on its face. Plaintiffs seek general damages, punitive damages against each individual capacity defendant, declaratory judgment that defendants violated the First, Fourth, Sixth, Eighth, and 14th Amendments, injunctive relief barring further retaliation, attorney fees under 42 U.S. Code 1988 and 42 U.S. Code 12205. Plaintiffs should plaintiffs retains counsel, and all further relief just and proper. Plaintiffs demand trial by jury on all claims so triable. Let me break this down for y'all. First off, they were not body cavity searched. It is a PREA violation for them to be body cavity searched. As a former correctional officer, I can tell you right now that we do not do a body cavity search. That is something medical does, and I doubt they've done it because the only reason medical would do it is if there was a reason to do it. What they're calling a body cavity search is actually a visual search of an unclothed inmate. I've partaken in several thousand of these in my career. Yes, thousands. That is where you strip an inmate naked and you visually inspect to see if the inmate has any contraband on them or in them. The old squat and cough. Their First Amendment rights were not violated. Their Fourth Amendment rights were not violated. They were arrested under a warrant signed by a judge. Their Sixth Amendment rights were not violated because they are welcome to request a trial, speedy and public trial. The Eighth Amendment was not violated as there was no cruel or unusual punishment or excessive fines or bail. And their 14th Amendment rights were not violated because they were, in fact, given due justice, due process.
So, I'm sorry. Did I mention I also know the Constitution. Let's see who the parties are. Yeah. We all know all that because I just read them all out. Jurisdiction and venue, blah, blah, blah. The October 1st, 2025 settlement. On October 1st, 2025, following a court order conference bid, following a court order conference held September 30th, 2025, in cause number blah, 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 Horinsky transmitted to Petrini a written statement letter conditioning Horinsky's assurances upon Petrini's dismissal of Horinsky from the case without prejudice, and Petrini's agreement not to name Horinsky in any amended complaint. But yet he's named here. The letter framed the assurances ascribed in the following paragraphs as due process protections applicable to any future criminal charges brought by the city of Biloxi against Petrini. Robert Horinsky has no reason or right to say that if you don't name me in a lawsuit, I'm not going to let the city put any more charges on you. That's not how this works. First off, Robert Horinsky wouldn't have signed that shit. He's a very smart lawyer. He's been the city prosecutor since I was a kid. I've heard that he's retired, and I hope he's enjoying his retirement because it's well deserved. This is stupid. The letter contained Horinsky's written assurance where a city ordinance provides for an opportunity to cure prior to the filing of criminal charges. Petrini would be given notice of the alleged violation and opportunity to cure prior to filing of any charge against him. Well, Petrini didn't sign the charges. Horinsky didn't sign the charges. Tara Ramage signed those charges because y'all harassed the shit out of her. That's why your dumbass went to jail. Ay, ay, ay. I'm going to run out of cigarettes and have to buy cigarettes in Illinois for making these videos, and I am not going to like that. Oh. The letter contained Horinsky's written assurance that prior to any warrant being issued against Petrini, city prosecutor would review and approve the criminal affidavits going forward to the judge. I believe he's retired, so I don't think he can do that. The letter contained Horinsky's written assurance that prior to any warrant being issued against Petrini, Judge Reddy, or in her absence, another municipal court judge, would review the criminal affidavit to determine whether probable cause existed. The letterhead on October 1st, 2025 letter identifies municipal court judges of the city of Biloxi as Stephen Simpsons, James Steele, April Reddy, and the city prosecutors Robert Horinsky and Patrick Williams. Whitehead is a Mississippi licensed attorney at Page, Menino, and Perisich and McDermott, PLLC, whose representation of city employees in federal litigation is supervised by Peter Abide pursuant to Biloxi City Council resolution, blah, blah, blah. On November 7, 2025, at approximately 11:59 a.m., Whitehead conducted surveillance of Petrini's property at 1606 Beach Boulevard, while Petrini was a pro se plaintiff in a pending federal litigation against the city. Whitehead conducted the surveillance as a passenger in a white GMC truck. During the surveillance, Whitehead photographed the property and recorded video footage of it. Plaintiffs are in possession of 7 photographs depicting Whitehead during his conduct of November 7, 2025 surveillance. So, that's not against the law. You have no reasonable expectation of privacy in your front yard, dumbass. The Biloxi Board of Building and Adjustments Appeals convened a hearing concerning Petrini's property approximately 3 hours after the surveillance. Whitehead transmitted photographs and video to City CAO Richard Weaver and other senior city officials. Whitehead is not employed by the Biloxi Code Enforcement Department, the Biloxi Police Department, or the Biloxi Building Department. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You have no reasonable expectation in your front yard. So throw that one out, dumbass. March 31, 2026, Whitehead visit and CIU bulletin. Prior to March 31st, 2026, the parties engaged in the settlement discussions concerning Petrini's pending federal civil rights claims against the city of Biloxi. During those discussions, city defendants and their counsel demanded that Petrini release Honorable April Lee Reddy, Petrie, Donna Parker, and other persons from any claims, even though the city defendants and their counsel did not represent those persons. Petrini objected. Of course he would. During the settlement discussions on March 31st, 2026, Whitehead represented to Petrini that the city and their counsel would no longer demand Petrini release persons whom they did not represent. On April 8, 2026, defense counsel transmitted a revised settlement outline to continue the demand of those release of those persons whom the city did not represent. Why is the city even negotiating with this fucking prick? I wouldn't negotiate anything with him. Take that shit to trial. On March 31, 2026, Petrini completed a political painting on his property at 929 Division Street concerning both defendant Mayor Gillets and the city's practice of conditioning the provision of municipal service upon waivers of civil rights claims. The painting said Fofo is a mofo. I promise you, Fofo Gillets doesn't give a shit. Within 1 hour of the painting's completion, Whitehead arrived at 929 Division Street uninvited and without prior scheduling. Whitehead does not represent, okay, so he has no employment, contractual, other authority, and code enforcement. Who cares? March 31st, 2026, visit by Whitehead was not conducted pursuant to any city retention, instruction, and contract. Who cares? He's got the right to knock on your door just like any Girl Scout selling fucking cookies. The only thing you can do is ask him to leave. The March 31st, 2026 surveillance was the second instance of Whitehead conducting surveillance at a Petrini property during pending federal civil rights litigation by Petrini against the city of Biloxi, the first being November 7th, blah, blah, blah. Whitehead demanded Petrini remove the painting, and Petrini complied. But did he really? Whitehead thereafter initiated a settlement discussion with Petrini in person and by telephone through the remainder of March 31st, 2026. As of March 31st, 2026, Whitehead knew that Petrini was scheduled to depart the U.S. on April 2nd. During the settlement discussions in paragraph 32, Whitehead did not disclose to Petrini that Whitehead communicated an intent to communicate with the Biloxi Police Department, so he didn't have to. Within hours of Whitehead's visit, the Biloxi Police Department Criminal Intelligence Unit issued a bulletin identifying Petrini as a subject. Well, you know what? When you go online and you threaten people and you harass people, that's what fucking happens. The bulletin identifies third-party information as its source. Well, you don't give up your sources in an investigation, dickhead. Just like you didn't know I was a source. I'm rather proud of myself on that one. On March 31st, no person other than Whitehead had both contact with Petrini and contact with the police department. The bulletin contains Petrini's social security number, driver's license number, photographs, driver's license. Okay, so that's an internal bulletin. It can have all that. Bulletin contains a description of 4 vehicles associated with Petrini, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? The bulletin's recommendation section states verbatim that Petrini poses an undetermined threat to Mayor Gillich, which he does. He does pose it, in my opinion, a fucking imminent threat to the mayor. Both directs officers to develop reasonable suspicion or probable cause to initiate enforcement contact. Well, that's standard. The bulletin also acknowledges on its face that there are no criminal charges pending currently outstanding against Petrini, that Biloxi Police Department did not know it at the time of this brief whether Petrini had access to weapons. Well, he told me he's got a rifle and a second floor window, so I could make that argument. The do not stop or detain recommendation in the bulletin appears alongside the develop probable cause to initiate law enforcement contact. Well, yeah. That means that's an officer safety claim. The bulletin was distributed department-wide through Biloxi Police Department's internal electronic communication system, which you should have had no access to, by the way. You illegally accessed that. And I think I know who gave it to you. And if I'm right, I'm coming after you next. And I hope they yank your cert. You know who you are. And yes, you are on my radar. You are on the list to be exposed. And I will do everything I can to remove your certification as a law enforcement officer in the state of Mississippi. You will not get a job anywhere. Your ass can go work for Sweatman fucking Security. The March 3, 2026 council meeting. Biloxi council meeting convened on March 3rd, 2026 and voted to suspend the rules of order for that meeting. The complete video recorded meeting, blah, blah, blah. Meeting was reported by local broadcast outlet WLOX, as usual. During the citizen comments of the meeting, Plaintiff Petrini addressed the council and stated that defendant Mayor Gillich was associated with the Dixie Mafia. That's fucking slander, motherfucker. That's libel. He should sue your ass for that. Defendant Glavin presided over the meeting as council president, threatened to have Petrini removed from the council chamber based on the content of Petrini's statement. Yeah. You were showing your ass. Absolutely, he's got the right to remove you. Glavin stated to remove him. Plaintiff Fusco stood and then said point of order. Fusco's point of order was a parliamentary objection to Glavin's threat to remove Petrini. Defendant Mayor Gillich repeatedly stated on the record, take him out. Yeah, take him out. Cuff him. Lock him up. Fusco was physically removed from his council chamber by defendant D-Bag, the chief of police of Biloxi Police Department. He did the right thing. The military channel retaliation against plaintiff Fusco. Oh, here we go. I wonder if this is the same lawsuit they were drafting in the Project Lounge while I was sitting right there and Yuri was doing his AI bullshit on his phone. Plaintiff Fusco is an active duty Master Sergeant U.S. Air Force assigned to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. Plaintiff Fusco is the founder and publisher of the municipal political journalism platform Biloxi Politics Uncensored. Yeah, because, the satire he puts in there is real journalism. No, it's yellow journalism. He's worse than E. Brian Rose. Plaintiff Petrini is a publisher of the municipal political journalism platform peoplevbiloxi.com. Both platforms have substantial leadership. Each plaintiff is registered with the city of Biloxi as a member of the media and receives the mayor's office briefings, public announcement, blah, 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 blah. Anybody can sign up for those. That doesn't mean jack shit. November 2024, Defendant Jerry Creel transmitted from his City of Biloxi email account to Commander Mosley, the 81st Training Wing, Keesler Air Force Base, by an email stating, in substance, Mayor Gillich asked me to check on Jared Lewis Fusco. At all times relevant to the email described in the preceding paragraph, Plaintiff Fusco was a private citizen exercising his First Amendment through the Biloxi Politics Uncensored and was subject to no pending city code enforcement action. He asked a question. Whoop-de-doo. What's your point? On March 10, City of Biloxi contacted Keesler Air Force Base concerning Fusco. March 24, Colonel Robinson of the 81st Training Wings transmitted to Master Sergeant Fusco a memorandum documenting the city's of Biloxi's communication with Keesler Air Force Base concerning Planet Fusco. No intervening event, communication, or other document explains the elapsed time between March 10, 2026 contact with Keesler and Colonel Robinson's March 24th memorandum to Fusco. Defendant Glavin stated in his presence of Ward 4 Councilman, the dishonorable Jamie Creel, and his, oh yeah, Jamie Creel, you're on my list too, you son of a bitch. At a public establishment in Biloxi known as Tailgaters, that Defendant Glavin had paid to deliver harassing materials concerning Plato Fusco to Keesler Air Force Base. The communications described in paragraph 56 through 61 occurred while Planet Fusco was active duty member of the United States Armed Forces and a publisher of journalism critical of the city of Biloxi and its officials. The communications described in 56 through 61 were directed to military authorities possessing power to impose adverse career consequences on an active duty service members. Well, you know what? When you act contrary to good order and discipline, as Fusco has, in my opinion, yeah, the military takes exception to that shit. I've never served in the military, but I'm pretty sure good order and discipline doesn't include going on a website and harassing city employees, going on Facebook and harassing city employees. The June 30, 2025 stop work order. On June 30, 2025, city personnel issued a stop work order at Petrini's residence. The stop work order was issued 24 days after Petrini filed case number blah, blah, blah in his federal civil rights action against the city of Biloxi. The stop work order was served with the assistance of 2 Biloxi police officers. Well, yeah. I wonder why. Because you like to show your ass, Yuri. As of November 27, 25 Board of Building Adjustments and Appeals hearing, Defendant Jerry Creel testified under oath that he had presented the information to the mayor and Peter Abide, who directed me to stop work order. Yeah, you changed your plans. You cannot change your plans without notifying the code enforcement so that they can inspect shit. I mean, damn. Use your brain, stupid, if you have one. April 28, 2026, Tara Ramage executed against Petrini a charging affidavit under the Mississippi Code of Annotated 97-2945, obscene electronic communications. On the same date, Tara Ramage also signed an affidavit to withdraw penalties from a sworn statement, facts of matter. On the same date, Schroeder notarized the documents described in the preceding paragraphs. The affidavit was forwarded to the prosecution without prior review or any approval by any city prosecutor. It doesn't have to go through a fucking city prosecutor, dumbass. On the same date, charging affidavit, who was executed against Planet Fusco under Mississippi Code Annotated, blah, blah, blah. The charging affidavit against Fusco was based on Fusco, the act of sharing on a journalism platform, Biloxi Politics Uncensored, an investigative article concerning Tara Ramage designated a Part 02, published by Petrini on Petrini's journalism platform, People v. Biloxi, on March 6th. Let me stop you right here. He shared an article. Yes, he did. But why did he share that article? Well, he shared it because y'all colluded and you told him to. He shared the article as a furtherance of harassment against Tara Ramage. Everybody can do whatever they want. You can do whatever you want, but everybody else, can't be offended by it. The local broadcast outlet WLOX reported on March 6, article identified in the preceding paragraph as a March 6 news event. Mississippi Code Annotated carries a maximum statutory monetary penalty of $500. By approximately 5 p.m. on April 28th, Facebook page known as Operation Icebreaker, Biloxi Civility Watchdog had published a post titled Captain's Log announcing Tara Ramage's affidavit. First off, nobody knows who was behind those pages. I don't even fucking know. Second off, I'm going to say something about Operation Icebreaker and Biloxi Civility Watchdog. Y'all didn't want to put your face out there, so y'all have no credit, no clout, and you're nothing to me. Unhide your face, people. Come out here and say what's on your mind just like I do. I'm public. I don't give a shit. Sue me. Beginning April 28, 2006 at approximately 1:14 p.m. and continuing through April 29th, Operation Icebreaker, Biloxi Civility Watchdog Facebook pages sent direct chat messages to Petrini. During those communications, the Operation Icebreaker operator conveyed Tara Ramage's personal demands to Petrini, including a demand that Petrini remove 2 specific articles authored by Petrini concerning Tara Ramage. Yeah, because they were fucking harassing. You called her a crackhead. You're fucking stupid. During those communications, the Operation Icebreaker operator quoted substantially from the affidavit Tara Ramage had executed earlier that day and informed Petrini of the recusal status of Biloxi Municipal Court judges on the affidavit before any public docket disclosure of those facts. Biloxi City Council convened in a regular session the same date. At that meeting, Glavin placed a printed note at every council member's seat. The note identified Ward 2 council member Anthony Marshall by name. Anthony Marshall's an idiot. I will say that publicly. I do 100% believe that he is an idiot. The note identified additional individuals as perceived allies of plaintiffs. The note originated from the office of Defendant Kerry Kavanaugh. At the time the note was created, Defendant Samuel Polis, Anthony Chastain, and Kerry Kavanaugh were present in Kavanaugh's office. Defendant Chastain has admitted in a text message that he was the source of the note. So wait a minute. Hold on. Let's stop here for a minute, y'all. Let's discuss this for a minute. Yuri can go on and call people crackheads and Dixie Mafia, but Anthony Chastain can't write a note without getting sued. Does that make any sense? At the same April 28 council meeting, Glavin publicly displayed his cellular telephone in open council session. This display was witnessed by Ward 4 council member Dishonorable Jamie Creel. Following the display, Dishonorable council member Creel stated of Defendant Glavin, he just showed me something that was delivered to Kiesler. Within hours of the meeting, Operation Icebreaker began publishing harassment of council member Marshall and plaintiff Petrini. You mean, wait a minute. You mean you can harass people, but they can't? Aw. Is your little feelers hurt? You sorry bastard. The harassment included content of a racial character directed at plaintiff Petrini, plaintiff Fusco, and Ward 2 council member Marshall, including published depictions of Petrini and Fusco, neither of whom is black, characterized as black men. Oh, I didn't think a Facebook post could hurt your little feelers. Especially, since Tara Ramage is a crackhead and Mayor Fofo is Dixie Mafia and Kenny Glavin and Aaron Wilson are the Mummy Cartel. I mean, Wow. Is free speech a one-sided street with y'all? I believe so. Not to mention, I do believe, Yuri, I have you on tape dropping the N-word with the hard ER. Oh, yeah, it's there. Y'all can go listen. But, racial whatever. Within hours of the meeting, Operation Icebreaker also began publicizing on its Facebook page Liberty Keister, blah, blah, blah. On the same date, 6 city defendants filed answers to the original complaint in this action. The April 29th warrant. On April 29th at approximately 8:14 a.m. Central Time, transmitted by electronic mail, a written notice and demand to defendant Honorable April Reddy, Honorable James Steele of the Biloxi Municipal Court, the clerk of the Biloxi Municipal Court, the municipal prosecutor of the city of Biloxi, Henry P. Rose, and Zachary Grifters of Curry, Johnson, and Myers, PA, Peter Abide, and defendant Whitehead. The April 29 notice, the man identified 11 independently dispositive defects in any forthcoming criminal process against Petrini, including structural recusal of defendant Reddy and the total breach of the September 30, 25 settlement described in paragraphs 3 through 8. The April 29 notice, the man set forth 13 time-bounded demands, each carrying 5 or 10 day business window. No recipient of the April 29 notice and demand responded within the response was windows specified. On April 29, after the transmission and notice of demand described in the preceding paragraphs, defendant Lust signed a warrant authorizing Petrini's arrest based on the April 28th affidavit. As of April 29th, Reddy had recused from any matter involving Petrini. The warrant bears a handwritten notation special appointment. Lusk was not appointed to the Biloxi Municipal Court through any statutory mechanism for judicial substitution under Mississippi law. There's more of that AI bullshit. Senior Deputy Court Clerk Ashley Coker has confirmed in person by electronic mail that Biloxi Municipal Court has produced a complete docket in the matter, and after internal review, no order, resolution, designation, or other documentation authorizing Lust's service as municipal court judge exists in Biloxi. No Biloxi city ordinance grants the position of pro tempore municipal judge. Lusk is appointed to the municipal court judge for the city of D'Iberville. City of D'Iberville is a municipality distinct from the city of Biloxi. So, April 28, 26, the affidavit was sworn in Biloxi Municipal Court, and the warrant was signed by Lusk on April 29, less than 24 hours later. On January 27, Biloxi Municipal prosecutors filed a document captioned, "In re all misdemeanor criminal cases in Biloxi Municipal Court, motion to seal and restrict use of discovery." On January 28, Honorable Stephen B. Simpson signed a standing order to seal and restrict use of discovery. The charging affidavit, underlying cause number, was not sworn until April 28, 3 months after the documents described in paragraphs 107, 108 were filed. Lusk compensation as Biloxi Municipal Court judge is administered under the same regime that compensates regular municipal court judges. Well, no shit. That compensation regime is established by the City of Biloxi City Council Resolution number 635-19, which provides that a judicial officer compensation is payable upon presentation of invoice subject to approval by the Director of Legal Department. At all times relevant to April 29th warrant, Peter Abide was the City of Biloxi's Director of the Legal Department. Well, no shit, he's the city attorney. Ay, ay, ay. At all times relevant to the April 29 warrant, Abide was named individual capacity defendant in Petrini versus City of Biloxi. This brings up something interesting here. Just because they're named in a city lawsuit, does this mean that they can get away with not being prosecuted for criminal crimes? So if I get arrested and bond out, all I have to do is file a civil lawsuit against everybody, and I don't have to pay the price. Is that what I'm seeing here? Because that's what it seems like. Lust represents private criminal defense clients before the Biloxi prosecutor's office. Lust primary law practice in Biloxi. Lust law office located on the same street as Biloxi City Hall, along with 50 other lawyers' offices. Lust regularly attends meetings of the Biloxi Businessmen's Club. So, the meeting of the Biloxi Business Club is regularly attended by Lust, also regularly attended by Peter Abide, Defendant Glavin, and Defendant Mayor Gillett. So, Biloxi's not that fucking big, y'all. Shit. I need a break. Okay. Had to get me some water. This is a lot. During May 5th booking, Plaintiff Petrini observed that the charging document, underlying cause number, blah, 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 bore a note stating that all sitting municipal court judges had recused, and Plaintiff Petrini was additionally informed orally at booking that all sitting Biloxi municipal court judges had recused from this matter. Plaintiff Petrini has not been provided access to copy of the charging document despite requests. Every adjudicative action and cause number, blah, 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 has been performed by Defendant Lusk, a judge of the city of D'Albertville, notwithstanding the existence of 3 sitting Biloxi municipal court judges, neither of whom have had any prior controversy, litigation, or other professional contact with Plaintiff Petrini. Motherfucker, you'd sue him. You know you would. On May 10, Defendant Robert Horinsky transmitted to Plaintiff Petrini by electronic mail written statement that Defendant Horinsky had recused himself from all cases involving Petrini. In a written statement, it is a party admission. It establishes that the prosecutorial review assurance contained in Defendant Horinsky's October 1st settlement letter that city prosecutor review and approval would occur before any affidavit was forwarded, blah, 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 could not have been honored as to any conduct occurring after Defendant Horinsky's recusal. Defendant Horinsky's recusal compounds the city of Biloxi's pattern of avoiding administrative resolution to Plaintiff Petrini's disputes, a pattern documented in the city's breach of the October 1st settlement, assurances, non-response to Plaintiff Petrini's April 29 notice and demand, and recusal of all 3 sitting municipal court judges. The manufactured zoning proceeding initiated by correspondence rather than by formal procedure, and the May 10 recusal to meet and of channeling Plaintiff Petrini's exclusively, into adversarial litigation he did not seek. So, you're going to sue him, you're going to sue Robert Horinsky because he didn't hold your fucking hand, yet you're in law school. The Facebook page herein identified as the Operation Icebreaker page operates under Facebook ID, blah, blah, blah. The page has its material times operate under 2 published names, Operation Icebreaker and Biloxi Civility Watchdog. Defendant Chastain, on information and belief, is the operator of the Operation Icebreaker page. You got any proof? Here's some Law 101 for you there, law student. Mr. Third-year law student of Loyola Law. If you're going to bring a claim, the burden of proof is on you. Beginning on or about April 26, Operation Icebreaker page published a series of post caption with a 31-hour countdown to a publicly announced operation against plaintiff. By approximately 5 p.m. on April 28, Operation Icebreaker page had published a post titled Captain's Log announcing the existence of charging affidavits against plaintiff. Operation Icebreaker page is public statements asserting that Petrini is unlawfully present in the United States. Operation Icebreaker page is public statements asserting that Petrini is in the United States on an H-1B visa. Petrini is a lawful permanent resident of the United States. Lawful might be a stretch because you damn sure love breaking the law. And hold on, motherfucker. You want to get talking about ICE? Let's talk about your workers. None of them speak English. Very few of them. Matter of fact, I think there was only one guy I was able to communicate with that spoke English. So maybe ICE needs to take a look at that. And I'm not a fan of ICE. Everybody knows this. But in this case, I'll make an exception. Petrini, let's see. Operation Icebreaker page has published statements asserting the existence of active arrest warrants for plaintiff prior to any public docket disclosure of search warrants. So, on May 3rd, approximately 1:06 a.m., the Operation Icebreaker page published a post tagged Keesler Air Force Base and depicted plaintiff Fusco in caricature. So, you depicted Tara Busby as a crack whore. You depicted Mayor Fofo as Dixie Mafia. You depicted Aaron Wilson as Captain Hook. On or about May 3rd, the Operation Icebreaker page placed a paid Facebook announcement identified in Meta's ad library identifier as Busted. The Busted paid advertisement subscriber paragraph contained content of a racial character. You mean like you using the N-word at the Project Lounge? Again, I've got it on tape. I hope you deny it. I want you to deny it. I beg you to deny it. On April 26, Plaintiff Fusco's journalism platform, Blacks Politics Uncensored, published a counterpost identifying the first persons to publicly engage with Operation Icebreaker page included defendants Gavin, Samuel Polis, Kerry Kavanaugh. So, that's not illegal. They liked and shared a post. Maybe they didn't share it. Maybe they didn't like it. However they engaged, it's Facebook. It's social media. People do that shit. That's what we do. But it hurts your little feelers. God, I hope I'm coming to the end of this soon. The April 28-29 chat communication between Operation Icebreaker and Petrini described in paragraphs occurred, blah, blah, blah. During those communications, Operation Icebreaker quoted Tara Ramage's real-time statement of monitoring Petrina's journalism platform. I can still see my page. Well, yeah. So you took it down, dickhead. Which I'm glad you took it down because that was bullshit. Beginning May 3rd and continuing May 4th, Operation Icebreaker operators sent further direct chat messages to Petrini through Facebook Messenger from Operation Icebreaker Biloxi Civility Watchdog page identity. During the communication, Operation Icebreaker operator named 4 protected parties: Tara Ramage, Tony, Christy, and Carrie, in 9 separate messages across approximately 14 hours. Who gives a shit? During the communication, my Operation Icebreaker operator stated my interests are only those 4. During those communications, Operation Icebreaker stated, we decided to step away and shutter the page in 12 hours. We just want Tara, Carrie, Christy, and Tony out. Yeah, because y'all like to hit women, or y'all like to harass women. You can't step to a fucking man. Only ones you can step to is those that ain't willing to fight back. That's why you haven't stepped to me yet. That's why you ain't said shit, and I've been busting your ass for a week. During those communications, Operation Icebreaker operator demanded that Petrini remove specific journalism authored by Petrini. During those communications, operator conditioned the cessation of further publication concerning Petrini, blah, blah, blah. During those communications, operator stated, first, as far as I know, they really do have active warrants. I just heard firsthand from the person who filed charges, blah, blah, blah. During those Communications operator offered to disclose his true identity to Petrini in exchange for Petrini's compliance and demands described in preceding paragraphs. Then who the fuck is he? During those communications, icebreaker operator volunteered with respect to defendant Stacy Thacker. I promise Thacker and that office have nothing to do with this. Subsequent chat communications described in preceding paragraphs, both Operation Icebreaker Facebook page and Biloxi Civility Watchdog page were deleted. My page ain't going nowhere. I'll tell you that now. And I'm going to continue to hit y'all as hard as I can. Just like I'm doing now. On or about April 23rd, Sam Polos published on his personal Facebook page a fabricated image purporting to depict the booking of Plaintiff Fusco. On May 5th, 2026, Lusk issued a gag order to City of Biloxi v. Petrini. On May 5th, approximately 10 a.m., Plaintiff Petrini and Fusco were notified by telephone of existence of the April 29 warrant prior to any pursuit, detain on-site directive, or apprehension operation. Within approximately 1 hour telephone notification, plaintiffs voluntarily surrendered themselves to law enforcement at a previously arraigned location. Just say you went to the Biloxi Police Department. Quit using 7 words when 3 will do. On the same date, defendant officer Jonathan Johnson, I didn't see him listed, placed Petrini under arrest pursuant to April 29 warrant. On the same date, plaintiff Fusco was also placed under arrest by officers of Biloxi PD. Prior to placing Petrini under arrest, Johnson permitted Petrini to make multiple unaccompanied trips to Petrini's vehicle for the purpose of depositing personal items. Petrini complied with each Johnson's instruction before, during, and after the arrest. You better. During the arrest, each plaintiff was placed in handcuffs. So, that's standard. During the arrest, Johnson placed Petrini in handcuffs on at least 4 separate occasions. Yeah, so. One or more of the occasions, Johnson restrained Petrini's hands behind his back. I mean, yeah, that's what you do. You place somebody in hand restraints, you place them behind their fucking back. That's standard. On one or more of those occasions, Johnson placed restraints around Petrini's feet. Yeah, that's standard too. Before and during the arrest, Petrini informed Johnson that Petrini suffered from pre-existing shoulder injuries. Oh, you mean you got I don't want to go to jailitis? Is that what that is? Petrini is a qualified individual with a disability with the meaning of Title II of the ADA. Petrini informed Johnson that before and during the arrest, status of qualified individual with disabilities under the ADA. At the Biloxi Police Department, prior to transport to Harris County Adult Detention Center, each plaintiff was searched by a pat-down by Biloxi police personnel. That's allowed. Pat-down searches described in preceding paragraphs disclose no weapons, no contraband, no other items. Okay, so I'm glad. I kind of wish you had some contraband on you so they could have got you for introduction of contraband to a correctional facility. I would have loved that felony. Please tell me I'm getting close to the end of this shit. Let's see, am I? Oh, fuck. I'm not even halfway through this. This is part 1. I'm going to do a part 2.